My first realization of there is something called mental health was
Yeah.
actually an ex-boyfriend of his.
Oh, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am.
We're gonna
At
tap.
grade 7.
No, not grade 7, later years.
You.
No, it was like when I was 16, 17, 18. And he was going through a lot of emotional turmoil. So that was when I was like, okay, no, there's something.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Matapasioka and this is my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. Please remember to hit the like button, also subscribe and to turn on notifications bell so you can get notified each time I release a new video. So on today's video, guys, I've got a guest. I've got a special guest. I will be doing, like I said, more of my mental health talks. So we're just carrying on with that segment or part of the channel. So I've got a very special guest here today, Refilwe.
Hey.
Refilwe Moyo. Sure, Refilwe and I go back some years, 7 years, six years. 2015 or 6 years. Yeah, so we met in varsity. And like Refilwe was just so open. Man, this is what I love about her. She's so open, she's so free. Like that's one of the few memories that I do have about her. We've kept in touch since then. We talk a lot.
So coming here, I was like, whoa, she knows the business.
So we enjoy our talks. We have voice notes together. We could even do a podcast. I think from the way we have so much, we never run out of things to say to each other.
Sure.
So yeah, Refilwe's just gonna tell us about herself. She's actually she's gonna tell us who she is, where she's from, and maybe give us 5 facts about herself.
5 facts.
Yeah. So
we could be here all day. So hi, I'm Refilwe. I'm born and bred. Born and bred in KZN. And 5 facts about myself. Okay, I'm loud, but today I'm just gonna simmer it.
No, we want all of you, bro.
No,
we want it all.
No, I'm here. Talkative. Also, I love people. I love people a great deal. I love adventurous things, even though people may debate me on this, but I really love a good adventure.
Yeah.
I love a good experience.
Yeah,
what can I say? I'm a family girl.
Yeah.
Through and through, and friends girl.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, guys, so as I mentioned, we are doing my mental health talks. So the purpose really of this video will be just centered around mental health. I did say to her that I wanted us to focus a lot on mental health and relationships as well, because I think those are 2 combinations that we never really hear much of.
True story.
You can hear a lot of mental health, you can hear a lot of relationships, but when it comes to bringing the 2 in, I think that's not something we talk about a lot. So she did ask me, what questions should I prepare? And I'm like, girl, I'm gonna ask you.
We're gonna freestyle.
We're gonna flow with it. Everything's gonna be good. So yeah, I think before we go further, or before we get into it deeply, maybe I should just ask about your journey with mental health. When you kind of started realizing that, okay, you know what, this is something called mental health exists, or maybe your own little experiences around it that kind of showed you that, okay, something is a bit, or have you even had any challenges? Maybe that's where we should start.
No, I know, I've had my fair share.
Yeah.
No, I've had my fair share. No, I know mental health. I think it's, when it started for me, because, okay, so when I was in grade 7, grade 8, grade 9 on there, I was diagnosed with ADD. So it's like attention deficient disorder, right?
Okay.
So one of the side effects is also depression and anxiety. So also taking the medication and stuff, that's when I started to realize that there's something that I'm not okay with, my moods, how I was feeling towards certain situations. But I wasn't aware that it was mental health at that point. I just thought that I was just probably just having side effects just naturally. And then interestingly enough, because we're gonna go into it about having mental health and relationship chats, my first realization of there is something called mental health was actually an ex-boyfriend of his.
Oh, ma'am.
Yeah. Ma'am. We're gonna tap.
At grade 7.
No, not grade 7, later years.
You.
No, it was like when I was 16, 17, 18. and he was going through a lot of emotional turmoil. So that was when I was like, okay, no, there's something.
Oh, so you picked it up from him, not even from you?
No, because when I was going through that, I was much younger at the time when I was experiencing mental health. But I was just like, it's just a mood swing, or like I'm just not okay. Teenage hormones, you know how they're like, oh, when you get to 15, hormones.
Like, what was going through your mind as a 13-year-old? Like now that you're taking, because now remember, you don't have a physical ailment. It's not like you know, because we're young, so you think if you have to take medication, it's because you're physically sick. So how did you kind of process that? How did they explain it to you, maybe? How did you process that? Okay, I'm taking medication for something that is not really physical.
I didn't tell anyone. I didn't tell a single soul. I didn't want, because I also saw it in the performance at school that like, so you know, this is why I don't like when teachers ask like students to pick up their hands, because I knew like I would register a little bit slow, so I would have like a 5 to 10 second delay. So they'll say something and I'll be like, okay. So I think that's when I started realizing there's a lot, because I'm not paying attention and all that stuff. So I was very silent about that. I think my coping mechanism was definitely trying to be that funny girl, or trying to be that out girl, the bubbly girl. So just to kind of
cover up for that, overcompensate,
just to overcompensate. But I didn't tell anyone about it. And interestingly enough, I knew my parents didn't understand, because at the time I was actually just staying with, it was just me and my dad, and I knew he didn't get it as much, but he was very present. So I didn't feel like I even needed to explain it to him, because he was just always there. So I was like, I'm sure he'll figure it out, but I knew he didn't. So in terms of that, I didn't tell anyone. I think there was about three girls who actually knew, because they were going through it as well. So it was just easier to conversate with them.
So like your fear in telling people about it was just being judged. Was there part of you, because what I want to understand is that like, because mental health is only something that's really been spoken about quite a lot now. And even now there's still a lot of challenges with it. So what I'm trying to really understand is like, even then, did you kind of feel like it has, you know, this thing when they always say they associate mental health with being crazy, or mental illness rather, with being crazy and whatever. Was there a part of you that felt like that's how people would perceive you if they knew? Would they think that, hey, maybe there's something wrong? Or
do you know what it is? I didn't initially, only because I think when we're talking about mental health rise and it comes to, let's say, black families, right, there's a type of reaction that they're expecting from that person. So they want them to do
certain
dramatic theatrical moves. There's certain things that you have to do with your physique to indicate
there's something really wrong here.
You know, that's the thing. So I wasn't that person. I was just naturally bubbly, but I could. It was like a facade. I think because of my personality, naturally being outspoken and being bubbly, I could just kind of hide it away. So I didn't have that. However, I did see the reactions towards people who, let's say, who had schizophrenia or who had bipolar. I saw the reactions of my family, and they were like,
there's definitely.
So I was like, this is not a safe space to admit that maybe there's something wrong. But that was just specific people, not necessarily everyone.
The entire family.
But even if it's just 1-2 people, you're just gonna be like,
no, I get it. So you mentioned that they initially diagnosed you with ADD, right? But then you then developed depression along with that. So maybe let's just talk us through that. How did we get to that part? Like, was the depression something that went hand in hand with the ADD, or was it just something that along the way as you were taking the medication? Because I do know that when you're taking medication for mental illness, it does create it creates other, or let me say, a ripple effect. We just, you know. So is it something that along the line, or was it something that initially, like, it was hand in hand? You have ADD, you have depression, or did the depression just kind of develop as you went along?
It came. The thing is, I think the reason why I never pinpointed it until later in my teens was because it was in and out. It was like, then it left, and I knew that, but that's why I didn't pinpoint it to mental health, because it was coming and going. So I was like,
it's just
a mood
up.
swing. It's just growing up. But there was a time I think it was a very insecure time in my life. I think it was when I was in grade 11. Yeah.
17.
Yeah,
16. We were
16, yeah, 16. Where I was not trying to see people.
Yeah.
What is in my room? And I was like, eesh.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Yeah. And how long did that last?
It was in and out for a solid year. That's long. But it wasn't intense also.
Ooh, yeah.
It was in and out for a solid year. So it would come, it would go, it would come, it would go. And I was like, ay man. There's just something wrong. But also to your point, I was tackling a lot of other things of insecurity. There's the thing of being ADD, there's the thing of body insecurity, all these things that a teenager goes through. And on top of that, you're taking meds. I even stopped it because I was like, you're causing me issues. You're causing me issues.
Honestly, I always say, I feel like sometimes the meds do more. Take your medication.
Take it, but just
like on a personal note, the meds sometimes tend to do more harm than good. Like I know with me, I always talk about the sleeping pills for one, because usually when they do diagnose you, they do give you some sleeping pills. I always felt like they created such a dependency. I had such a dependency on them that like I'll sleep for 30 minutes and then wake up and I can't sleep and I have to take pills. I saw with the antidepressants, for me, I struggled a lot with weight gain, like appetite, like I just said no, child, I'm not doing that.
We are not.
Let's try something.
And the thing is, you're not feeling better.
Yeah.
And you're like, but I thought these pills were gonna do a thing. I had an experience with antidepressants. I think about like 4 years ago. I had anxiety. When you stress about the future, and I was going through it, and it had to do with a lot of family things. And I just remember taking these pills for. I did not clock a month.
Yeah.
I did not clock a month. I was like, no, ma'am. It's not gonna happen because I know how I felt before was not nice, but this feeling
is even worse. Yeah.
This feeling, I'm sorry.
It's just not it.
It wasn't. I was like, listen, the Lord and I are gonna have to figure out a plan.
But this is just not it.
It's got be it.
Sure. Okay, so you mentioned something in the beginning that you only got to really find out about what or learn about like mental health from an ex-bae. So take us through that.
You know who you are.
No, I did in the past.
It's in the past.
It's in the past. So take us through that. Like, how did you get to that? Because you mentioned that he had his emotional issues and whatever. So how did you kind of come to that point where you understand that, oh, okay, this is what is going on with me when I'm feeling like this or whatever?
And I realized, because I was in my teens, and then it ended first year of varsity, right? So it was like on and off for 3 years. Yes, so it was very early in my life to discover the heaviness of this of mental health. So I think when it clocked, right, that something's wrong, is actually when I got out. Because I'm the person where I'll feel sorry for you. If you tell me like a really soft story about what's happening in your life, I'll make sure I overcompensate. Like, okay, because what he would do is it's really...
How older than you was he?
3 years.
Okay, so he was 19 when you were 16.
Yes, and then...
This is juicy.
Yeah. So, that's... We've been through it. So
what were you doing with a 19-year-old, man?
The thing is, I didn't think of it at the time. There was excitement. But you know what it is? I think... I remember a friend of mine always used to say, you do realize this is a bit toxic, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, he's just going through issues, which he was. But at that time, I wasn't understanding of that. I mean, now, obviously, maybe I would have maneuvered it a bit differently. But it would be a situation where I knew I was unhappy, and I'd be like, no, I'm breaking up with you. Something happens. So once there was a police station that broke down, he was in a car accident. Both of these didn't happen, I'm letting you know. Then he even lied about saying that he had cancer. And he's like, if you leave me, then who's going to take care of me? Do you see what I'm saying? So he'll be like, no, but if you leave me, you're the only person who supports me, who loves me. How do you leave someone like that? First of all, my young mind. Secondly, how do you take on the responsibility of saying, I'm gonna leave even though I know you're not okay?
Sure.
So I just stayed, and I was like, no, something has really wrong.
He played it off as he's got severe mental health issues.
The thing is, he actually really did.
Okay.
I do believe that he did.
Okay.
He was seeing a psychiatrist. That was true. And I was sensitive towards that. You know, calling every day, checking up every day, because I feel as though if someone is saying that they need help and they're seeking help, at least be present.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it also came at the risk of, I don't want to say being manipulated to stay in the relationship, but being told that you have to stay because there's no one else.
Yo, you are making such key points here. I think maybe how I can ask this question, because you did mention that you were still quite young, which does play very, like it plays a lot into this. But I don't know if maybe you've had another time in your life or another relationship, or we can even use that one, where obviously you were with somebody that was really struggling with mental health. So you mentioned stuff like feeling like you were being manipulated to staying and help, even though they were being toxic and whatever. So I just want you to kind of like really give us a picture, because usually we talk about how it is to be somebody who is who has mental health issues and be in a relationship, but we never hear it from the receiving end, like somebody who is in a relationship with someone struggling with mental health. So how would you say your experiences have been? I don't know if you've had another relationship where you were with somebody in that or who struggle with mental health, or we can still use that one. Like,
I think
if you can paint a picture for us.
He was the only one whom I can say it was actually really, it was serious. And obviously you have to be sensitive towards that, you know, as best as you can at that age. Right? I think, but with an ex that I recently had, he didn't have mental health issues, but I think he was very how can I say, he didn't have a great understanding of it, because there was a time I dipped.
Isn't there always?
I dipped, and mental health wise, it rotted. Like it was horrible, and his reaction towards it was very just, I'm not gonna text, I'm not gonna call, I'm not gonna do anything. I was angry because I was like, why are you not being supportive? Where are you? And I knew what I was going through. I knew that I wasn't okay, and I knew I needed support, but not necessarily in the sense of what my ex was doing in terms of like, you have to be, no, it wasn't that. I think it was a little of a message, like, are you okay,
are you fine,
like small things like that. I don't need to be.
Did you like break it to him and say, because I know with me, with my
that one.
With my personal experiences, I've had a time where I sat the person down and I said, listen here, look, I'm not okay. Right now, I'm not okay. I'm going through this. Oh, and their reaction was just out of this world.
They
were like, no, what do you mean? This is how you're gonna be when we have children one day. And that was like, for me, it was heavy. It was a lot. It was emotionally so like heavy on my soul, and I didn't understand why somebody who I love so much, who claims to love me so much, would react like that. So are you also the kind of person that you tell the person, or you just start acting, or not acting differently, or you just hope that they'll figure it out?
I inform, because when you don't inform, it's hard for someone to show support. That's the truth. So this thing of, that's why I'm like, have conversations, talk about it, because when you don't talk about it, then it's you can't. Not that you can't, but it's hard for someone to understand what you're going through unless you vocalize that this is the situation. So having vocalized it and seeing his reaction, I was upset, right? But I also came to the realization that not everyone has an understanding of what mental health is. So I knew how to react if someone, because I have a friend who also has personality disorder. I have a few friends who've got mental health issues, like severe ones. So I know how to react towards the situations. I know the sensitivity that needs to come with it. But I also understood from him describing his background, him describing how he understands life in the world, his understanding of mental health, and I was like, this is tricky.
Did we not live the same life?
The French, listen, I keep telling you, you're here. All of them. The recent one also, just like, same WhatsApp group. So it's tricky, but I think that's when you have to realize is it fair to even expect so much of someone who doesn't answer? If they don't want to learn, then you can't be expected.
You can't. But you think that it was that he didn't want to learn, like, so he was ignorant, or he just didn't get the opportunity to learn? And does that make a difference for you? Because I know with me,
that's
I think,
interesting.
Yeah, for me, I think it's one thing if you're ignorant and you're just like, no man, that's just a white people's disease, it doesn't exist, are you gonna be like that with our children, blah blah blah. And it's another thing if you say, yo, look, I wasn't exposed to that, like you said, this is my background, this is where I come from, this and that, but I can definitely like try to do more, because I have met people who said, yo, look, I don't know, but hey, I can definitely try. So does it make a difference to you, like whether it's either one of those two scenarios?
It makes a huge difference, because with the first one, then I already know we're gonna have problems along the way. Reason being, because I know what mental health is, I've been through it, and you know, so it's hard to grow with someone who's not going to understand maybe parts of you, because that's a big part of me.
It is.
That means that's something we need to discuss. You know what I mean? It's like how when you talk about someone's background, where these parts of them, like, oh, why do they react towards certain situations? It's because they've been through certain things. So for me, with the mental health thing, it's important. You may not understand it. I think with him, it was a second point. He was like, hey, I don't understand this. I'm gonna try, but I think what stopped him, and he mentioned something along the lines of, I don't understand it. I don't want to say he didn't want to understand it, but the way he backed up from it so often, I think it was maybe there was a fear. There was a scare of like, but it wasn't. And the thing is with me, it wasn't severe. So I was also interested in that, because I just said it, but it wasn't severe. Like it really wasn't severe. I would say mildly. More to the lighter side, but I knew what it was.
You were not okay.
I just wasn't okay, and I knew where it stemmed from. But still, to that, I was like, oh, that's just it's going to be a little bit of an issue.
Tricky.
Because
maybe he was also afraid of the because maybe he had an idea of what it is, and his idea was probably the far extreme, and he was afraid. He was afraid of the responsibility that comes with being with the far extreme. Like maybe that's what it could have been. Yeah,
but I think even with this experience, I was like, you must know what you're getting yourself into. You must know your partner. You must just know. You must just know. You must know. Because I have this theory where, at the end of the day, life is nice when it's nice, but when it gets real,
it gets real.
It gets really real.
It gets really real.
And I need to be both sides. We both need to be vulnerable enough to admit that this is where I'm most vulnerable. This is where I am most open and wounded. And if it's hard to even get into that chat, if there's a hesitation, slice.
It's a problem.
It's gonna be a problem.
So I think also, now that you're speaking, I just quickly thought of something that because you have been somebody that you've been in a relationship with someone who had mental health issues, and then you've been in a relationship where you were the one who had mental health problems. What would you say, like, now having played for both sides, like, not to say you'd have to choose, but if you really had to like choose, which would you prefer, like, to be on the side where you were not where you were the one with the issue, or when you were with someone with the issue? If we really had to, like, let's say we had to choose,
brutally honest, it's a heavy job.
It's
a heavy job to be in the position of taking care of someone with mental health, but it's also heavy knowing that you're heavy to someone else. You feel it. You feel like, ooh. So it's tricky, goodness. But I'm gonna be honest, I would rather, because by nature I like to take care of people, I'll be on the other side. Interestingly enough. Because you know, I don't know how you want to explain now how you would take it, but you know, there's just, because also when you have mental health, there's always this thing of like, let me just deal with it all. I'm gonna be a burden. People are gonna run away. People are gonna be scared, and you love your people. It's a lot.
It's a lot, because you think about the other person. Like, I know with me, when I would have attacks and panic attacks and whatever. Like, I always thought, instead of firstly thinking about, okay, I feel like I'm about to die, I'm convulsing, this and that, But one part of my brain is literally thinking, Tato is going to be so traumatized. Like after seeing me in the state where
they're not coming back,
they're done. The first thing I always would say when I just come into it, like one of the first few things I always say is that I'm sorry.
Interesting.
You know, I apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry, please don't leave me. Inside, I'm like, please don't leave me. I promise I wasn't dying, but look, it's hard because you always want, if that's in your nature, you want to put other people first, and you're like, you know what, this and this. So if I had to choose, I personally would also be the one taking care of the other person. But this brings us to the conversation we had the other day about struggle love. Where then do we kind of like, because I think for women this would be probably, I think it would be different for men than it is for women, because women, I think in nature, we're just very like giving, and we're nurturing, and with this and with that. And sometimes, like in your 16-year-old self situation, it takes it's being taken for granted, you know, people take advantage of that. So then where do we kind of draw the line for, as women, being in a relationship with somebody that has mental health issues, where we're not extending ourselves so much that we're losing ourselves and we're being in struggle? Because sometimes now I can be attached to this guy friend, and he has mental health issues, and I'm trying to be there, I'm trying to support, but then he becomes manipulative, and he becomes this and he becomes that. So where do we find the line to draw, like to say, you know what, I'm gonna help you, but beyond this,
That's when you need to know yourself, if you can handle it or not. Because I think there's gonna come a point where the line is gonna be dusted away. There's gonna come a point where someone's gonna cross the line somewhere. That's just, I don't know how your experiences are. But it's tricky, hey? It's tricky.
This is tricky. Because it's like, wait, I mean, as women, that's just how we are, and we've been talking a lot about it. Where, I mean, we want to be able to rest in our femininity, but we understand that a relationship requires work. It means that the other person is not going to be perfect. They're going to have issues. So how do we kind of ensure that, you know what, nice Matepa is I'm helping Mokiti through 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not extending so much of myself that I even join that team where I feel like I've recharged you so much that now I'm on, like,
I think it's also how he reacts towards how you assisting him, because there are going to be some people who are naturally just going to take, and then they'll be like, no, I'm going through it. I'm going through it. So I was like, okay, but I understand you're going through it, but talk to me. And also that thing of, when you're going through it, are you talking to me about it? Because there has been a situation where I knew someone was going through something, going through a lot, and as a result, they didn't actually tell me what they were going through, but they were going through a lot, but I was on the receiving end of their projected traumas. And so it's tricky, because you're in this position where it's like, I want to be there for you and help you, but I'm struggling to carry the pain and traumas and sponge in emotions and pain that I know nothing about. I don't know what caused it. I don't know where it's rooted from. So therefore, it's also impacting, how do I even help? Because now it's going to be a thing of, now maybe my reaction is going to be like, yo, dude, why are you being so mean to me? Like, but you don't understand, I'm going through something, so I don't understand what you're going through. Like, talk, tell me. It's tricky.
Do you feel that, like, because now that you're saying that, I'm thinking about this, do you feel that also sometimes people with mental health issues, do you feel that sometimes we have a sense of entitlement, like, especially within the context of a relationship? In the context of a relationship, like, do we have that thing where, like, for example, with these guys where they didn't understand what we're going through, but did we have that entitlement of, no man, because you're in a relationship with me, you must be there through thick and thin, you must stick it out, you must fight, you must hold me down, you must
be honest.
No, let's be honest with it. Let's be honest with it.
Like, it's not.
No, let's call it for what it is. Like, do we have entitlement?
I feel like I want to be entitled to having a partner who's present. I think that's what I'm trying to make. It's a tricky one.
It's very tricky.
Because I think it's about figuring out the lines in your relationship, because everyone has different breaking points.
Fred, you're not answering my question. is simple. Let's heal, guys. We need to have these conversations.
Okay, let's
We need to heal the world.
Let's talk about it. Yeah. I think that's why also, I think maybe that's why I'm also leading towards like, I'd also help. Because I know from the other side, the entitlement, where it's rooted from, the entitlement.
Yeah. Maybe it's about the root as well.
It's the roots. I think for me,
no, we need to just be honest with it.
You know where the entitlement is rooted from? It's the thing of, I know. If as a personality,
if it was me,
if it was you going through that, I would have been there. I would have been there.
Yeah.
And it's that thing of, we also want what we would give to other people, forgetting that people react very differently to certain circumstances. So when you're talking about entitlement, I'm gonna be dead ass honest. Even though it's probably gonna contradict something we said earlier.
No, but
but the truth is, there is, because you want someone to tell you you're gonna be okay.
I think it's just the humanness about compassion, like human nature. We want compassion. I wanna, or not even, what's not compassion? What's this? Companionship. That's the word I'm looking for. Yes. Like, just companionship is about, like, I'm gonna be there for you during the tough times. You're gonna be there for me. Get life partnership. But you know, for me, this entitlement thing, it hit me hard. It hit me very hard because I think it was my my second heartbreak, second and last. Because after that.
And that is, oh, Mary had a little lamb, in Jesus' name. That is the last.
Second and last, ma'am. Because after that, a girl is.
You know when you can take, you've taken all that you can.
I'm done. But with that experience, right? It's even on my channel. It's one of the stories on my channel. The guy had said, no, the emotional support is too much. I can't do this. It was hard for me because in the moment I wanted to be like, why don't you support me? I've been supporting you. You should be here for me. You should. And after that, I don't know. I feel like it's been a blessing and a curse, right? Because part of me is just like, you know what? I'm not gonna be like vulnerable again to men and open up like that and expect people to carry me and whatever. That's how I kind of like took it from then. So it is a blessing in a way, but it's also a curse because obviously when you get in love and when you get into relationships and whatever, vulnerability is such a big key.
It's a big
it's a big thing. But for me, I remember months after that breakup where I was still holding on to the fact that he should have been there, like and it started even coming into a more entitlement type of thing. Like, he should have stayed. And it was only later where I realized that no, nobody should ever feel that they have to stay with you even if it doesn't make them happy.
Talk about it.
If it doesn't, like, I learned the greatest lesson.
And there's a guilt that comes with if you leave.
Even now, like, if I don't like what's being served on the table, I take my napkin and I fold it nicely and I am out. No.
These other things we gotta do.
No, really, we need to go. And it's a lesson that I learned then, friend, because it started off with that entitlement, and then I realized, but no, I wouldn't even want anybody to be with me if it no longer made them happy.
You have to want to be there.
Yeah, we're not operating from a place of love, but a place of pity and guilt and what's going to happen
at some points.
What's going to happen if I leave and whatever. So I think for me, right, I think then I realized that, okay, sharp, there's a bit of entitlement in this, and how I learned to pick myself up from that is just really, I think sometimes I tend to like close off my emotions a bit. It will come up maybe later, like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 hurt me and this and that, but I've learned to be so self-sufficient, and it is good, but it's also bad because now you don't vulnerability is something that you struggle with a lot.
It's just you lock it in,
you know, but we just have to be honest. I do think that sometimes with, you know, when you're struggling with mental health, sometimes you do get entitled, and it's not even a bad thing. It also goes with the things that you've gone through, your experiences, your past. Maybe you grew up not even having that kind of love. So when I get Refilwe and she wants to show me love, I'm just gonna and you better show me, if the way you showed me love on day one, you better show me that love today.
But I think mental health or not, right? Because we've been on the position where we've been in that mental health situation and a much healthier situation mentally. Please self-reflect, Self-reflect and realize you need to heal. Because the truth of the matter is, I think you talking about this folding, I can put it away. It's because you've gone through a process of you've self-reflected on what works and what doesn't work for you. The type of person you know that needs to be there in your corner when you're going through certain things. You know your trigger, you know your triggers, you know your traumas. And the truth of the matter is, the longer you don't heal, the more you're going to see the very same thing again.
Cycles.
And you see it with your exes, you're like, ooh, that's the same. That's the same thing.
In a different
wrapping. Different wrapping. And it's also, but it's also, you know what I'm saying? So also just, it's hard. And I think this is what I even encourage with my friends, with the thing of, I know mental health. I don't know the one you're going through. I don't have that diagnosis, and I may not have that extent. But one thing I know, a common thing that we all need to do, whether you have mental health or not, is sit down and be like, Ref.
This ain't it.
I'm feeling this. I need to talk about this. You know what I'm saying? And it's not nice to self-reflect.
It's not.
It's disgusting. It's horrible. Girl. It's gruesome. It's uncomfortable. You realize I'm not that great sometimes. The Lord said I'm perfect, but in reality, the things I'm doing.
Self-introspection is everything.
It
is everything. Like, I think it's one, like you said, one of the things towards healing. I know for me with the medication, like I said, I got to a day where I said no more. And me being that honest and brutal with myself meant that the next time I started feeling like I'm being triggered, I'm not okay, I had to do things. I had to research certain things. So okay, when I'm in a panic and I'm in a funk,
what other ways can I do without the dependency of that?
I'm telling you, I literally have things that I do. If I start to get anxious and I feel like my texts are coming, I engage all my 5 senses. I say this in some of my videos. So I'll say, what can I see right now? What can I touch? What can I, just to show my brain that there's no real danger. Relax, So all of that came with me sitting down with myself and saying, no ma'am, I've already missed out on 2 university experiences because of this. I'm not gonna do this anymore. And that forced me to take control, take charge of myself.
And you did that through gym.
And all these ways, through gym, through researching ways to say, okay, you know what, when I'm not okay, how can I get myself, So I had to be intentional. It wasn't easy because I think with mental health and a lot of things that happen, it's not something you sit and say, yeah, this must happen to me. Okay, at this time I'm gonna do this. No. Nope. Literally your brain just works in ways that you don't understand. So I had to kind of learn myself, study myself, that okay, when I'm not okay, this is how I feel when I'm not okay. This would have been the trigger. How do I handle that? What can I do in that moment? Do I need to sleep? Do I need to engage my senses? Do I need to count to 10? Do I need to call Tato? I had to be that intentional. And I think a lot of people battle because they don't, like you said, sit down with themselves, introspect.
There's only so much others can say
honestly,
or do for you. You have to.
You need to do it. You guys, the only person who can save you is
yourself. And it's traumatic sometimes when you realize that this is really it's me. And also it's if you need to take your meds, take your meds if it works for you, because things work differently for other people.
Different people.
It just so happens it just didn't work for us, and we just found different ways. You had the 5 senses, the gymming and all that stuff. I knew for me it was that Bible needs to be cracked open.
It needs to look like
it must look like something that's been used. That's the extent of. But I think for me, being very intentional about figuring out where my mental health is comes from being incredibly spiritually inclined and incredibly aware of self.
Sure.
I can tell you right now, if someone's gonna do or say a specific thing, I already know this is how I need to. This is what I need to say to not trigger certain conversations or certain emotions. It's being intentional about waking up in the morning, making your bed, opening the window.
That's Team 5 a.m. club.
Team 5 a.m. She actually put me on to Team 5 a.m. Listen, saved my life. It just depends on you. For me, I knew if I was slipping and my mental health was deteriorating, I knew it was the sleeping, I knew it was the crying, I knew it wasn't the opening the windows, I knew it was the going from eating 1 to 2 meals to not eating a meal. I knew it was me actually being too happy around other people, so I don't want them to see the truth, what was going on. There's so many things where I realized that okay, if this is the reaction, these are the things that I do when I'm going through a certain thing, then okay, I need to
you're not okay.
Work on those certain things. Well, let me work on it. Let me have a strategy. That means waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That means I need to pray. That means I need to journal. That means I make my bed before anything else. Before I even shower, open anything, you make the bed, you open the window. You know what I'm saying? It's the small things.
The small things
that can really only come. The small changes in your life can really only come when you are intentional about wanting to change it.
Sure.
And it's hard.
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? But we also, I think, privileged enough to grow up in certain environments where the conversation and the exposure was there. Because if I think about, I knew someone from back in my day, in my childhood, I knew that they were going through something, right? I knew them from childhood, but I'm saying now, like in seeing them in recent years, I knew that they're going through something. But however, the environments, it's tough because I can understand, I can see why they don't understand something's wrong because the things that people are saying to her about, I know, why are you like this? This thing of environment. So if you're privileged enough to be in an environment where
this chat or to place
actually
yourself. Not everybody is
that's a true story. Placing yourself in a position where you're going to be exposed to these chats.
Goes back to intentionality.
Go to it. And even though we're speaking about it here, it's easier said than done, truly speaking. But listen, rather just do the gruesome work.
You need to get down and do the dirty work.
Because also, the end of the day, like what you were saying about you can't expect someone to stay if they're unhappy. It's true.
It's not
so
true.
If people keep telling you, dude, please get help, please do this, and you're rebelling against everything, it's tricky because people want to be there. But it's also coming at the expense of themselves, and it's tricky.
And nobody should be expected to feel like that. Like I want to be there because I want to be here. I love you, and everything in me says, you know what, I'm strong enough to carry you in this season. I don't want to be there because I feel pity for you. I feel guilty. I'm not happy. Because now we're gonna all just jump into that pool. Who's gonna save the other one?
Because that pity pool is a real thing,
real.
and you know the reaction. You've been in a position where you didn't want to be there, and you pitied the person, and you know the way you reacted towards that, as compared to someone else who you knew you loved, and they were also trying to find ways to help themselves. You know what I mean? For me, how you react and how you do certain things, and I know that you're intentional about wanting to get better, I can be very patient. Intentional. You can't give people some time. If they're intentional about getting better, give them a little bit of time and tell them, like, listen, as much as it's hard, I'm seeing you trying. I can be here. As you know what I'm saying? As opposed to someone who they just
they're waiting for somebody to come rescue them. That's not happening. Girl.
The rescue.
Hey. Refilwe, thank you so much, sis. I was gonna say closing statements, but I feel like you said so much. But give us like 2 closing.
But mental health,
yes, and relationships, because that was your boat, sis.
I think.
So,
please, the self-reflection thing, we take it very lightly, but I'm saying it very seriously in the sense that you need to know if you can handle or if you can be with someone who's got mental health. Because that just comes from you understanding yourself, what you can and what you cannot do. As much as ideally we all want to be the people who are going to be there for people, hold everyone. But if emotionally that's not your strength, know yourself. Really know yourself. Also know yourself to the extent of, if you are in a position where you can feel that this is a zone that I'm not too sure about, and I can see that it is going against everything for me, check it out. Just look into it. Ask people around you, be like, have you noticed anything about me? If you can't see that, then you can't. But just if you're starting to realize, and just just self-reflect a lot. Just try your very best to self-reflect. Mental health is real. It's nothing to be ashamed about. But most importantly, please at least talk to people who are open to have that chat, because not everyone is.
Not everyone is. So, girl, thank you so much. Thank you.
This is nice.
This is really good, guys. So yes, guys, there you have it for today's mental health talks. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. And you paid attention to what Refilwe said. I stand with it, I support it. I know if I give my closing remarks, it will be for another 10 minutes. So thank you so much for watching, guys. We will keep doing more of these because I know you guys really do enjoy them. And yeah, I will see you guys on the next video. Again, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.